week we're going to be making a 3D Christmas tree. Okay, so to begin with, first what you need is a piece of paper, and if you have a legal size piece of paper, you could also use that. So I want to do 3 different sizes of trees this year. So I am going to take this piece of paper and then I'm going to draw a tree. Okay, so you can draw your tree however you want. So this right here is a tree that's already made. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this out. So I've done it different ways where I have kept it folded and then I have, or I've just done half and then I folded my fabric. So then I would have both sides even. So there's different ways of doing it. You could just open the whole tree and I'll show you. So you could open the whole tree, this one looks like this. And then you cut out 6 of these. Okay, so you go draw your tree however you want. So I'm actually going to, now I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to fold it the other direction because I want a smaller tree. So this is the way I did this one. So this is going to be a smaller one. Now I have some newspaper print. It's just a roll that I picked up from, we actually have a newspaper company here still, which is wonderful. And I'm able to get a roll, an end roll for $5. And I use that for patterns and a lot of other things with crafts. So I'm actually going to go cut a large piece that I can use for a big tree. So I found some paper and I cut it and now I'm folding it in half. When I make my trees, I like doing several at once and I do it like an assembly line. As you can see, this doesn't look like Christmas, does it? So I actually made pillowcases that are the same color and they match my blue sheets that I have. I decided that I wanted to change out the decoration in my bedroom, and so I got the idea of making a tree to match so that I could help with the decor. And that's one thing you can do with these trees is decorate your house for different seasons or just different themes. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. So here's my big one. This was with the newspaper. And then here is, now this is the medium, not the big one. And this is the small one. Okay, so I am gonna go ahead and get my fabric. I actually found some really fun red and black plaid fabric that I'm really excited about. So I have a lot of Christmas ornaments that are red and black. So I'm going to make a red and black tree to go along with my Christmas ornaments that I have for this year. So what I'm doing here is I am lining my tree up and I'm putting it, I folded in my fabric so it was just the length of the tree. This is my biggest one. And then I'm pinning it on. And this is just the half tree, right? So I'm pinning each leg. Okay. Now another thing that you can do if you want to cut more at once, if you have scissors that can fold more at once, you can actually fold your fabric in. So now I folded it down. You have to make sure you get the whole entire tree. And you have to line it up just right. So now we line up my seams, my fold, I mean. So now I'm going to pin it through all 4 layers. So now what this is going to do I'm going to cut out 2 at a time. So I have to cut out 6 total. Okay, so here we have it all cut out. We're going to pull it out and see how it went. So we have our first 2. So we need 6 total. So I have my 6 all cut out, and you can see that some are all wrinkled. So I'm going to go and I'm going to press them really quick, and then I'll come back and show you our next step. Okay, they are all ironed. Now what we're going to do is take 2, put them together. We're going to pin them. And the way you sew these, there's a trick to this. Line it up. Pin each of the branches. So right here at the bottom, I'm putting 2 little lines right here, 2 pins, which I'll show you why in a minute, and I'm going to put one right here. Okay, so if you know from any of my sewing classes that I have done, the thing that I teach is when you are supposed to stop or backstitch, I put double pins, okay? I know it looks weird that there's some here and here, but that's because we are going to sew from here to here and backstitch, and we're going to leave an opening right here on the bottom and right here on the bottom. So we're going to begin sewing right here. So we get closer. So we're going to start sewing right here on this leg after we do this center part. Let me move this. So we're going to sew and backstitch right here. Then we're going to leave, it's about 2 inches, a 2-inch opening. And then we're going to sew all the way around. And then when we get to over here, we are going to backstitch again right here and leave a 2-inch opening. Okay, and you're going to do that to each of these. So now you're going to have 3 sets, right? You're putting them all together. You're going to pin them all together before you start, so you can just start sewing them all at the same time. So another thing I'm finding when I'm lining them up, because I folded my fabric together and I was able to cut them out together, it makes it so that they match up better. The third one that I cut that wasn't lined up is a little bit off of the third of the other one. And so I will probably just have to trim around it so you can see that it doesn't quite line up because they were cut at different times. Like this one and this one totally line up together, but the third one doesn't. So if you have enough fabric and you can fold it together and cut them at the same time, I would suggest that. I didn't. So, but that's okay. You can just pin it and trim around it. Once we're done, I'll trim after I'm done sewing. I'll just make sure that I sew on the side that has the smaller one. So I'll be following this one because it's a little bit smaller, and then afterwards I'll trim it up. So I'm using black thread. I could use red thread or whatever thread you want to use. It's not really going to be seen. So I'm starting right here at my double pins. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam. So where the tree, it goes up a little bit, I'm actually going to pause and then I'm going to pivot so that I get that point. I really want that point on the tree. And then I'm going to backstitch right here, right at my other pins. I'm going to go ahead and take these out. Let's go ahead and I'll cut it. You could drag it. Either way, I just don't want the strings. Okay, so now I'm going to take these out because I know this is where I'm supposed to start. And put my presser foot down and start again. When I get to each of my points, so I want to make sure these are lined up. get to the point, I'm actually going to stop, put the needle down, and then I'm going to turn my tree. And I'm leaving quite a bit. So if you are a beginning sewer, I would leave possibly a ½ inch, because we do have to do some trimming for the tree to make sure that it will curve, because there's a lot of curves on the tree. So go ahead and leave. I don't know if you can see a close-up of that, but I'm leaving quite a bit. It's not just a ½ inch right along along the sides of the branches. I'm leaving probably a ½ inch. Again, I'm going to stop and pivot and turn. I'm going to try to keep this lined up. See, I don't know if you noticed, my branch got turned underneath, and I would have sewn on top of it if I didn't stop and move it. So keep an eye on that. So if you are an experienced sewer, go ahead and just do your ½ inch seam. The reason why I suggest, if you're new, to go ahead and leave a bigger seam allowance is because you don't know if it is sliding on the back side. And if you do it too close to the edge and maybe it slid, see how mine was starting to slide, then you're going to have to re-sew it. So I'm keeping my finger where I need to back stitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew all of my trees, and then I'll come back and show you our next step. Okay, once you have all of your trees all sewn, now what we're going to do, we're going to check both sides of each tree, making sure that all of the fabric was caught in our sewing. Okay, so this tree looks good. So now we have to do some trimming, and we're going to be putting notches. I'm going to show you two different ways. So on this one, you can see that the fabric was, this tree was bigger than the other one. This side was bigger than the other. So I'm going to be trimming some, but then what we're also going to do on our points, we're going to cut the points off so that they're straight, and this will help them to poke out. And then I'm going to trim up close to the other one. And you can use bigger scissors, but I'm using the small ones to show you. So with these small scissors, you can actually make little notches. So you can go in and out. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this here. So it's a little notch, okay? So when you're doing this, this is going to help it when you're putting your batting in, so that it'll come out and it'll be able to bend around the fabric and it'll be more rounded. So you can do little notches down your whole entire tree like this, or if you have shears like I do. So this right here, these are fabulous tools. So this makes it go really, really fast. You can see how they have the little triangles on them, the little teeth. Anyway, so when you do use your shears, then they make those little notches for you. And so you can just cut the whole thing, and then when you get to the top, just cut it straight across. You see what it does? Yeah. So if you don't have shears, then you can go ahead and just make your little notches. Otherwise, you can just cut straight across and cut around your whole entire tree, down to the bottom, So you're going to go ahead and leave this spot open. Okay, the only thing I'm going to trim is this extra right here. So I am going to trim up, I'm going to cut off the extra. Okay, so go ahead and either put notches or use your shears to go all the way, all 3 of your trees, and then I will show you our next step. Now that we have all of our trees all trimmed up, what we're going to do, so at the bottom, we have 2 holes, right? We have one on this side and we have one on this side. We're just going to choose one of them. It doesn't matter which. And we're going to start by turning the first leg out, so it's right side out. And then we're going to go on to the next one and continue on from there. And it's easier if you go one leg at a time and totally poke it out with your finger. Otherwise you're going to have issues getting to it later on because it's so far in there. But if you're doing it as you go, then it makes it a lot easier. You just use your finger and poke it out and then go on to the next one. And we're going to do all of them through the same hole. I'll show you in a minute why we have 2 holes. The first time I made these, I'm like, that does not make sense, why we have 2 different holes. But I'm going to show you, and it's going to make so much more sense. So just continue around and poke all of the branches out. Okay, so once you have it all poked out, I like taking a little pin and just using it. See how this is like, it's kind of folded in? That's when I will take a pin and I'll just poke it out. So you just work on it. So you can see that you just use your pin to pull out the little points, okay? So once you have all of your little points all pulled out, then go ahead and turn out your other 2 tree pieces, okay? Once you've turned all 3 trees inside out, right side out, excuse me, then you're going to layer them. So the whole point, get the point of the, so you want to get the top of the tree, the point even, and then you want to get the center of the trees all lined up. So I like putting a pin right up here near the top, well, to the side. And then I'm going to put one on the side over here. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth it out down the center. The reason why we're doing the center is because now what you're going to do is you are going to start right here at the bottom, sew, back stitch, and you're going to sew a straight line up to the top and back stitch. And that is how you are going to get your 6 pieces on your tree. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Make sure you're using matching thread on this point. This seam, this line that you're sewing, it will be seen. So use matching thread on this part. Okay, so I'm using black thread to match the black. If I was sewing on the more on red, I think I would use thread. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to go from the bottom. I'm looking at it again. I'm going to make sure that it's going to be a straight line. My whole goal is a straight line up to the point. this next part, what we're doing is we have all these little holes. Now do you see why we needed a hole in each leg? So this is where we're going to be putting our stuffing. So you need about 1 bag of stuffing for the tree, maybe a little bit less depending on how big you make your tree or how small. Okay. So for this part, you need to get your polyester batting or your cotton batting, whatever it is you have. And then I want you to get either a chopstick or a pencil with a brand new nice eraser that you can use to help push the batting to the very top. So I'm going to take my pins out and I'm going to go get my batting. Okay, so I went to Joann Fabrics and I bought a huge box of batting because I plan on making several trees. And then I just put a whole bunch of it in a plastic grocery bag. So anyway, so you can just stick it in your chair next to you. And so this is a time when, if you can do 2 things at once, you can either listen to a good book or watch a good movie, then you can just take it and do this at the same time, because it does take a little bit of time to do. So I just take little handfuls about this big and I'm stuffing it in. The most important thing about this is to stuff it in and get it clear down to the farthest point. So this is my pencil, it doesn't have a point. Anyway, so now we're taking it, we're gliding it through, okay? We're going to push it all the way to the bottom. So here you can see I've got it down to the very point. So then my next section is going to be this point. Okay, let's see if we can see it. Okay, so I've got this point, this part right here. Now I'm going to work on this part right here. The points are really important to get, okay, to have a really well-defined tree. So that's all you're doing is you're just taking little pieces, kind of squishing it into a ball, and then pushing it through. If you can use your finger and get your finger in there too, more power to you. You can do that. You can push it through with your finger as far as you can get it, and then use the end of your pencil or your chopstick to take it and push it through. Kind of like you're packing it down. So, and then I just go right around the circle doing each branch of the tree as I'm going around. So go ahead and fill up your tree. And then our next step, of course, is just to stitch it shut. So I just whip stitch it closed and I'll show you that next. So I decided to go ahead and make a big forest of trees to decorate with this year. I've got my plaid going on. They're going to be in one room, and then I have a striped tree that I'm going to put actually probably in one of my bathrooms that I'm going to be decorating for the holidays. I love decorating all the different rooms. So I hope this helped you out and that you can take this and make some decorations for your home for the holidays. And if this helped you out, I hope that you'll give us a thumbs up and subscribe and share this with your friends. Thanks again for watching Creating Joy.